Everybody, JC here with another TNI live stream. And today's live stream is very impromptu. I upgraded some equipment for the live streams, and really the purpose of this particular live stream is just to kind of test that out. Hopefully, we'll get rid of some of the lags, especially like when I'm going over to the review station, things like that. So Salome has also joined us, but again, being I didn't announce this, I didn't give much advance notice on this, and who knows how much YouTube actually notifies people when I go live like this. So I'm not expecting a huge crowd, but that's okay. It looks like a couple of you are here. Nathaniel, what's up? Everett's in the house. Ben G is here. Good to see you guys. Noob is here as well. So we got a couple guys here. So again, welcome. So I thought today a couple of things that were just kind of on my mind here recently, and so I wanted to talk about was the Zack Snyder Justice League movie coming to HBO Max in March. And then I also thought we could talk a little bit about WandaVision. Hopefully, you guys tuning in have been watching the show, because we probably are going to talk a few spoilers based on episodes that have already aired. Obviously, last Friday was episode 4, and this coming Friday is episode 5, and things have really started to kind of pick up in the last episode. So those are going to be the two main focuses. I also have in the review station, I thought I would take a look here at the new Todd McFarlane designed Batman figure, which is part of the DC Multiverse line. So that is what I'm going to be reviewing in the review station today. So a few more people jumping in. Cass, what's up? Zaragon, if I mispronounced that, sorry. But welcome. Dark Vader's in the house. Michael is here. CM Brock is in the house as well. Good to see you, man. Tony C, Nathaniel. Cool. So, as I was saying, for you guys just arriving, this is a pretty impromptu live stream, mainly just to test out some upgraded equipment, which I'm hoping will rectify things like any kind of lags and such that we were getting in previous live streams. So it's kind of a test run, but I think this should go pretty smoothly. Salome, of course, is here, everybody. She wanted to be here. And as I said, probably the two main focuses of discussion, topics of discussion today will be the Zack Snyder Justice League movie and the Wonder Woman, or not Wonder Woman, but WandaVision Disney Plus series. So let's start off with Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League. So just today it was announced that the movie is getting an R rating. So I don't know how I kind of view that as in part because I'm not really sure why we need a rating period. It's going straight to HBO Max, not to theaters. So, a rating is kind of really not much point to it. And I kind of feel maybe that's why they gave it the R rating, because it was like, if you're going to the theater as a kid, one of the reasons why a lot of movies don't like to get R ratings is because, especially comic book based and stuff, is because they're afraid it's going to limit, younger audiences going to see these films. Well, being that this is basically airing at home, I mean, I don't have kids, but I remember as a kid, I'd watch R-rated movies all the time on cable, so it wasn't really that big a deal. So I feel like, they feel like they can get away with it. And then there's always this appeal of like, oh, it's R-rated. That means, it's going to be more intense or something. So, I don't know, I'm not really sure what exactly, I don't think they've really said exactly what the actual R rating. So that's really just kind of where, I'm feeling this is marketing than anything. I mean, I'm sure it will be made a little more violent than the previous Justice League, but it's really going to warrant an R rating. I don't know. Blake's in the house. What's up, man? Yeah, Blake, this was a very impromptu video as I'm testing out some, basically an updated my computer, which was really bogging down. I'd put on the older one that was really bogging down, so I did that, and hoping that this all goes much smoothly. I'll jump on the end too. Great. Well, the best laid plans, as I say. I don't know. It's a little sluggish on my end as well. I don't know why that is. Of course, actually, I might know because there might be a train on my internet. My wife's doing a Zoom call right now, so that might be part of the problem. This is your matrix. Let me just try to see if that does anything. I don't know if I have a feeling if you guys are getting freezing, it's because my internet is probably being stretched to the max. Which unfortunately, if that's the case, I'm not gonna be able to do anything. Michael says I should fix this problem. Let me snap my fingers and make it better. Something funky is afoot, according to Doombot 9000. Dr. Mindbender is messing with my connection. Legend 69 says. Yeah, I totally didn't think about my wife's upstairs doing a Zoom call of her own, and that's probably draining the Wi-Fi pretty bad. Unfortunately, her call is probably more important than mine today. Is there any improvement at all, or are we still? Seth, what's up, man? JJ Prime. Everett's asking what's going to be in the MCU Spider-Man 3 wave. I have no idea, Everett. That's too far down the pipeline. I'm just waiting to see if there's any improvement or if today's video if it's so unwatchable, then we may just call it because I don't want to sit here and ramble and then you guys being like not able to really watch or listen. Is the connection still bad? Anyone? This is brutal, Duvall says. A lot of lag, JJ Prime. All right. Oh wait, action figure expert is saying much, much better. What's up, Mark? Mark's in the house. CM Brock says he can hear me better, but the video is still freezing. All right, let me have to set Salome aside here. All right. Just trying to switch views here, see how that is. Everett, I don't know what the Build-A-Figure for the Disney Plus wave is, but I doubt it'll be Mephisto. We can hear good, not visual. I can hear you, but still freezing. So audio. All right. Well, if you guys can hear me, okay, we'll talk for a little bit and see. I think my wife's in call sheet wrapping up here, so that might really thing. So we'll just do a little chit chat here. I apologize for the lags. Jack asks, do I have a collectible collection on display? I do have some of my collectible. I have my shelf back here. I've got my DC figures from DC Collectible on display. I don't know what I can do without essentially ending the stream. You guys still there? Jack says it's perfect now. Are you guys still? So the computer. I don't know what happened. The computer blinked off, and then it seemed like my battery went dead or something. I don't know. However, okay. So apparently it's better on your end. I'm getting a lot of flickering on my screen here, so I'm trying to see. Oh, see, that's why I said this was a test, an improv. Okay. I think you can hear me now. All right. I think that would help. Testing. All right, that time was just stupidity. I hit the mute button on the on the mic. All right. So I think we are good now. I think you guys can hear me and see me. Let me just flip over, make sure. Oh, no, we lost the review station again. Of course we did. All right. Make sure the mic is working. Testing. Okay. Okay. Checking that. Okay. All right. All right. I think we are now officially a go. Okay. So if you're just joining, we just went through like 10 minutes of technical difficulties, but this was an impromptu video to test out new equipment. So, uh, but I think we're good to go now, and everything appears to now be working correctly. So, just to recap, main point of today's video is to talk a little bit about WandaVision, and hopefully you will have seen the first 4 episodes that have already aired, because that's what we're going to be talking about. So, but before we get to that, I also wanted to talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League. And then also in the review station, I was going to take a look at this new DC Multiverse top 9 Batman figure and share my thoughts on that one. So that's really kind of what I had intended for today. And so let's jump into it. And Zack Snyder's Justice League, as I was talking about before we had the technical difficulties, just announced today that the movie is getting an R rating. And my feeling is it's kind of immaterial what the rating is since it's going straight to HBO Max. And I feel like maybe that's why they went on and did the R rating, because they know people will still watch it at home regardless of the rating. And of course, there's always this stigma around rated R movies that like they're going to be more intense and everything. In the theaters, an R rating for like a comic book based movie can have a downside because then parents won't take their kids to see it, and the box office take will end up being less so. Though Deadpool proved that to be, not always the case, but that's why a lot of times they don't like the comic book movies to get the R ratings. But again, with Justice League being it's going to be airing on HBO Max, as a kid I always watched rated R movies on cable. Of course, my parents took me to see Aliens in the theater, so there you can take that. Snap phase. Am I getting death metal Batman and Batcycle? I don't know. That would have to. I'm not. It's not a story I'm really into. So if I see it and I'm like, oh man, that's really cool, then I could maybe end up picking it up. But it's not like something, oh, I've just got to have. So most of those Batman variants that McFarlane's doing is not, because they're based on stories that I really haven't read. I haven't read a lot of comics in recent years, and those are mostly, more recent stories that he's basing those figures on. So they just don't have a lot of personal appeal for me. If he ever did something like Nightfall Batman, from that storyline, I would definitely be into that. If, Death is Superman, I'd be into figures of that, things like that. But the newer stories, the Metal story and all that, I just really have not. It's not something I've read, so um, they don't have a lot of personal appeal. The reason why I picked up this this McFarlane design one, because I thought, it was kind of an interesting, idea of Todd actually, who's a comic book artist, obviously, and taking and designing his own version of Batman. So I really kind of just picked this up really for almost a collector, you know, standpoint of something that's kind of a unique idea or, a unique thing. Now, first look at this Batman, it's not what I would really expect for a Todd McFarlane design Batman, mainly because when I think of Batman and Todd McFarlane, I think of big, giant, encompassing capes and the likes of that, which is, one of the first comics that I got with Batman actually, was had a cover drawn by Todd McFarlane. And so this really doesn't fit that bill. The design itself, and I guess we're kind of jumping into the review portion here, but the design itself is not, I don't think it's bad. And it does have kind of like a Spawn feel to it with, like, the spikes here on the wrists and things like that. So the overall design doesn't bother me, but there's definitely a lot of shortcomings I feel this figure has. So let me zoom in a little bit here. So the thing I hate the most about this figure is this face sculpt. Sorry, I'm trying to get in on the... And I don't know, it's like his skin is all like wrinkly, so it's almost like he looks kind of old. So I just don't like that face. I don't know what happened there, and the expression, it just, to me, it just does not look really like Batman in keeping with Batman. So that, to me, is the thing I like least about this figure, and I feel like really kind of detracts from the overall look of the figure. I also can't say that these goggles, which, by the way, I believe only come with the gold label version. Keep in mind there is going to be a Walmart exclusive version of this figure released. It's going to have, instead of the gray colors, it's going to have dark blue colors. But that one, and that should be available everywhere. But that one won't have the goggles. But I can't say I think the goggles really work that well. I do kind of like the idea of the goggles, how they kind of fit on his head, and then you can have them down over his eyes, and they do actually fit over his eyes pretty good, or you can kind of pull them up and have them over his eyes. So I do like the idea of the goggles. I'm just not sure they really work for Batman. And maybe it's the gold, I don't know. But in that face, I just can't get over how bad that face looks, in my opinion. It just, I don't know. Now, the one other thing I'm not super fond of is this big giant bat symbol on his chest that was done in this glossy black color. The bat symbol itself doesn't bother me, but I feel like it shouldn't have been glossy because it stands out. I mean, I guess you could say that's the point of the bat symbols, is they're supposed to, his chest is got the bulletproof material, and so it's supposed to draw, the people shooting at him, their eyes to that, and so they shoot at that. So I guess you could argue that the glossy black kind of does that job, but just as an overall look of it, I would have liked something a little less glossy there. My other big complaint about the figure are these knives. They were done with soft rubber, and you can see they just kind of bend outwards because of the leg. They put it right over that leg, and so the leg pushes them out. They're not removable, and that's probably the worst place you could put something like that because, again, they get pushed out, and because they're done with just a rubber material, they look really fake. I don't mind Batman having throwing knives, but they should have put them somewhere else than right over the leg, or made them with a more durable material. Of course, if they had done that, then it would have restricted the leg's movement. So I just think it was not a well thought out idea. And it would be one thing, if this figure was based on like comic book art, but this was essentially, this is a look that was designed specifically for an action figure. So I feel like, again, if it was like a comic book artist drew it like that, and you were just replicating that for the figure, then I would, say it's a little more understandable. But the fact this whole look was designed specifically for an action figure, I feel like, they could have done a better job there, not putting them over the leg like that. And the bat symbol here is a little bit sloppy on the buckle, is a little bit sloppy. I actually would say mine looks better than others that I've seen. I've seen some really bad paint jobs on some of these belt buckles. So even though mine's not great, I would say mine actually looks a little better than others. Now for the rest of the figure, the cape, I don't mind the cape. And I do like the daggers that go on the back there. So I do like that feature in all the pouches. And he does have some batarangs that are sculpted in there on the belt, which I think look pretty good. And the pouches on the leg, though I don't know what that little yellow thing on the side there is supposed to be. It didn't come off looking very good. I think they should have just done like all the pouches. And the boots don't bother me. And the spikes, again, that's very Spawn-like, so those don't bother me. But definitely this figure, in my opinion, has some issues, and the biggest being just that head sculpt. Even though, you know, I've heard a lot of people have similar complaints about the figure, it does seem to be selling out rather regularly on Walmart's website. So people seem to be still buying it regardless of whether they like it or not. And I talked about this, I think it was the last live stream. I don't have the box anymore, but originally when I bought this, I wasn't even sure if I was going to open it because, again, to me, really what kind of made this, a unique collectible was it was a one-of-a-kind designed Batman by Todd McFarlane. And so, you know, the legendary comic book artist. So I originally wasn't even probably going to open the figure, but then Walmart, because they shipped it in a bag, it got the outer packaging got damaged, and so at that point I was like, I might as well open it anyway. All right, so getting back to Justice League, so it being an R rating, I don't know. I feel like that's more for marketing than anything, just to get people talk. Oh, it's going to be R rated. It's going to be intense. And it probably will be. I mean, I don't know if the movie, I really have no feel for whether this movie is going to be good. This pretty much the same as the first run of Justice League that we got in theaters, or if it's going to be worse. I really don't. Um, it's going to be longer, and my main complaint with the movie is that I really feel like that they've gone in a totally different direction overall with the DC, so what's kind of the point? Jack says, am I a fan of exclusive figures? Not in general, mainly because they're so hard to get. I think there are certain types of figures and certain avenues that an exclusive is a cool thing, like a convention. If you take a figure that's it's not like something that everybody's just got to have for their collection, like if you didn't get it, it's going to be a glaring hole in your collection. I don't like that. But if you've got something that's a repaint or minor modifications or something just kind of unique that you can have as a collectible for those who go to like a particular convention, I don't have a problem with that kind of exclusive. But store exclusives, I think are way overused and definitely not a fan of that. Yeah, snap face exactly. Like if they'd put the throwing stars on his, lower down on his leg, or or even like in on his backside, like underneath his cape on his belt around his waist, that would I think would have worked a lot better. But right there in front of that leg, so they get pushed out, just not very smart planning there. Jack says he's not too crazy about McFarlane DC figures. I'll wait a year or so. I, I have no real issues with McFarlane DC figures. I've only gotten a few because I'm not into all the different Batmans. Again, going back to most of the ones that he's doing are based on stories I have not personally read, so therefore I'm just not that interested. But I've got the Flash figure, I've got the Superman, I've got the regular Batman. I have the Damian Robin, which I think is one of the cooler figures that they've done in the line. I've got that one on pre-order. I know it started hitting shelves, but I'm not going to go hunting for it, so I'll just wait for it to show up in the mail. And I'll probably get that recently announced John Stewart comic book based Green Lantern figure. And then, of course, going back to Zack Snyder, it looks like, based on a lot of overseas retailers that have started taking pre-orders for Zack Snyder-based Justice League movie figures. So, that should be coming, and I'm interested in seeing that. How much better will they be over like the Mattel ones? Mattel had the license when the first Justice League movie came out, so these will be the first. The only movie figures that McFarlane's done so far is the the Wonder Woman figures. The Harley Quinn figure didn't even come out; it got canceled. So, and I didn't think the Wonder Woman figures looked bad. I know a lot of you didn't like, thought the legs looked too scrawny or something, but I didn't think they looked bad. I have so many versions of that suit that Wonder Woman has worn in her first movie, the Justice League, the Superman movie, um, and and such, that I just didn't feel a need to get it. And then the gold armor one, I don't know, it wasn't appealing enough to me to get either. So, all right, well, I guess enough DC chit chat. Let's jump into WandaVision. So first of all, I wanted, in case you guys didn't see it on Marvelous News today, I know, yes, I think it was yesterday that it started floating around the internet, but there was an image that somebody had claimed to leak out of an upcoming mini mate set based on the WandaVision show. So, and I'm gonna flip over just so, and this is not spoiler because this is fake. It's not a real product, but this popped up online yesterday, and and right off the bat, I was like, it's one thing if figure like we saw those Falcon and Winter Soldier mini mates show up early at Walgreens stores. They didn't have super major spoilers to them, but those actually started popping up at stores early. But this was like, this is like, this would be something that somebody within the company would have, on their computer or something, not somebody that somebody would just find out in the wild. So that right off the bat kind of threw up some uh, question marks to me. But then I reached out to Zach Oat from Diamond Select Toys to ask him. I figured if it was real, he wouldn't be able to comment, but I figured if it was fake, he would be willing to tell me so. And he did. He said this was not a Diamond Select Toys product. So this is obviously something fan made to try and fool people. And I know a lot of people have been thinking that, Mephisto is somehow going to play a part in the series. So I'm sure that's why they did it. Zealous, what's up? Probably mispronounced your name. Sorry, man, if I did. Zelius. But anyway, that I mean that doesn't necessarily mean the fact that that image of that toy is fake doesn't necessarily mean that Mephisto isn't somehow going to play a role in the WandaVision series. But a lot of people were like, "Oh, Mephisto's definitely going to be in it because there's this toy that's based on it," and well, there's not. So we'll just still have to wait. I feel and we're going to start talking some spoilers here. So if you haven't seen WandaVision yet and you plan to, or you don't want to be spoiled, now is probably the time to end watching the video. Yeah, sorry, Jack. It's hard to really talk about this stuff without getting into spoilers. So, fair warning again, if you have not seen the first 4 episodes of WandaVision, uh, you probably want to end watching now just because we're going to get into some details about things that have happened in the show. So I'll give you a second. All right, so I have little doubt that somebody is pulling Wanda's strings. Now I think Wanda created this weird sitcom environment that we saw in great detail in the first 3 episodes. In fact, I felt like they dragged out a little too much. Um, you know, I was not terribly impressed with the first 3 episodes as individual episodes, and I've talked about this before. But I knew more was coming, and so I sat through it. But just and I know I even saw an article written by Forbes that said the first 3 episodes weren't bad. People have just forgotten to watch TV, and I'm like, screw you, man. I know how to watch TV. Nobody's had to sit there and go in 2 seasons of Mandalorian and say, oh, this is story build up. Even though the episodes themselves are not that great, this is story build up. So just learn to watch TV, and be patient. I mean, again, I understand that there needs to be build up, and I get that, but I feel like they drew it out too much in those first 3 episodes, going way too much into the sitcom thing. Um, so, and no matter how good the season ends up being from this point on, that's really not going to change my mind. If I go back, I can go back and watch every episode of The Mandalorian, and there's some episodes of The Mandalorian that get slow or don't really seem to add a whole lot to the overall story. But that's different than where you're just kind of watching your watch and going, okay, is this episode yet? Which is bad when it's only a 30-minute episode. So, um, but I do, starting with episode 4, starting with last week's episode, I think the show definitely, we should have gotten more of that, I think throughout the first 3 episodes, a little more of that in the first 3 episodes. And then, but again, at the end of the day, I think I think most people knew whether you liked it or not. Most people knew that there was more coming, and so they stuck with it. I doubt they lost many viewers over the first 3 episodes, so it's kind of a moot point. But anyway, getting back into the show, so I have little doubt that somebody is pulling Wanda's strings, manipulate. Not they didn't. I don't think they created the environment that we're the sitcom environment. I think she did that, but I think somebody had a purpose, in manipulating her to do that. And, obviously we'll see as if things play out. Now, who that is, I have no idea. Is it Mephisto? I know, if you read if you've read the comic books, I think that's why everybody is so set on Mephisto because of the kids. If you know how the kids turned out in the comic books, which she just had in episode 3, and that episode was probably the worst one to watch. But she had the kids in the span of that episode. She had the 2 kids. So in the comics, if you know how the kids turn out, I think that's why a lot of people are thinking Mephisto because um, they were basically in the comic books. The kids were actually manifestations created that were essentially a part of Mephisto's soul. Um, a character named Master Pandemonium, and I wrote about this on Marvelous News today. So if you read that, or obviously if you read the old comics, you're familiar with this. But the story was a character by the name of Master Pandemonium who had lost a limb, and this is all comic book based. So I have no idea if any of this is going to play out in the show or not. But in the comics, West Coast Avengers, which I have every issue of, by the way, um, of West Coast Avengers, but the original West Coast Avengers, that is. But this character, Master Pandemonium, this guy had lost his real, I forget his real name. Obviously, it wasn't Master Pandemonium, but I forget his real name. But the guy had lost a limb, and so he made a deal with, of course, Mephisto is the devil. Made a deal with the devil, where to get his limb back. But instead of just getting his limb back, Mephisto replaced all of his limbs with essentially these demons. And then he put this hole in his midsection that looked like a 5-point star, which was essentially, Mephisto told him, was his soul. And so he had to go around collecting these 5 different portions of his soul in order to regain his humanity, essentially. And his power was that he could control these demons that Mephisto had basically grafted onto him as his limbs. He was able to control those demons. So he ends up confronting, the Avengers a couple different times, and the final 2 pieces of the hole in his chest end up being Vision and Scarlet Witch's kids. They're not real because obviously Vision is a robot, and that was something that played out in the comic books for a long time. How did Wanda get pregnant from a robot, and how did she have these kids, and blah blah blah. And it turns out the kids were not real. They were these fragmented essences. Now once Pandemonium was able to gather up all 5, instead of regaining his soul, it basically opened this doorway where Mephisto was then able to emerge. And as it turns out, the essences were not really his, Master Pandemonium's, they were Mephisto's. Mephisto had been engaged in a battle with Franklin Richards of the Fantastic Four, the son of Reed and Sue, who's like one of the most powerful beings on the planet. And he ended up splitting Mephisto's essence into these 5 pieces. And so Mephisto tricked Master Pandemonium into going out and reclaiming them all. So that's where the whole, I think, Mephisto thing comes from, is people who are familiar with that comic book story, and then obviously with the kids appearing in the show, I think feel like Mephisto is going to have some type of role in that. Whether he does or not, I don't know. I feel like, being that Mephisto is the devil, that is a character that has been very tricky to bring into mainstream media for Marvel, because of course I think things have changed. I mean, obviously, if you look over on the DC side, there's a whole show based on the devil. So I think there's more leeway for them to bring a character like Mephisto to the mainstream media. But whether that's what they're doing here or not, I really don't know. Whenever I go on Instagram, I have to laugh at all these theories that people are throwing out there. Like I saw one the other day that the Darcy character, because she was wearing red lipstick, must be Mephisto. Literally, that was what they had posted. She's got red lipstick on, so she must be Mephisto. And I just had to laugh. I'm like, yeah, okay. So I don't know. They don't usually stick that close to the comic books in these stories. So I have little doubt that like her kids are not real, and I have little doubt that somebody is pulling Wanda's strings, and probably will end up driving her crazy, which is again something that happened in the comic books when she lost her kids. She kind of went over the hill of Crazyville, and she ended up getting manipulated by a couple of different people, including like Immortus, who has relations to Kang, has connections to Kang the Time Traveler, which of course Kang has connections to Doctor Doom. So who knows we could end up seeing, somehow Doctor Doom being brought into all of this. I really don't know. I don't know. I'm not reading your question. I'm rambling today and not really reading your guys' questions as much. Let's look. Let's see. Jack says Magneto could be using this as a stepping stone towards House of M. Well, I don't know if Magneto necessarily, but I mean, yes, they could bring, though House of M, let's remember, House of M wiped out all the mutants, didn't bring the mutants in. It wiped them out. When Marvel decided there was too many mutants, they used Wanda as a way to basically clean house. So I don't think, being we don't really have mutants, or haven't had mutants in the MCU, it would almost need to be the reverse of that, where she did something that brought mutants into the MCU, not get rid of them. So I don't know. But that's obviously been a very popular theory that somehow this is going to lead into a House of M storyline. I'm more of a line to think. So remember that, this series is going to tie into the Doctor Strange movie, which also the Spider-Man movie is going to tie into the Doctor Strange movie, into the madness, multiverse of madness. So I'm of a mind that by the end of the show, so one of the other things that I think you can pretty much see is that Vision is kind of a puppet in all this as well. Wanda, I think, created Vision. Whether she actually used his dead corpse, or that was just her, kind of remembering reality when we saw, his dead corpse there for a second, as he appeared at the end of Avengers Infinity War with the stone ripped out and all gray and everything. I don't know if she actually has reanimated that corpse, or it's just his essence, that she has kind of brought back, similar to the kids. She's obviously trying to create this perfect lifestyle with Vision and family and everything, which obviously isn't real. Um, and so you start to see, we've already started to see it with Vision starting to realize that something's not right here. And as we go along, I think, Vision's going to, his curiosity, he's going to want to know, figure out what's up. And obviously, Wanda doesn't want that to happen, probably because if he realizes what's happened, then he will no longer be essentially alive. And so she's trying to stop him. And if you've been watching all the trailers and everything, you see it where it looks like he's actually trying to escape Westerville and she's trying to stop him. So um, but I don't know exactly how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen, but I think eventually one of the results of all this is going to be that Vision will have been brought back to life. And I forget where I saw this, but somebody posted an interesting hypothesis that, remember back in Avengers Infinity War, when Wanda was essentially trying to save Vision and kind of remove his essence from the Mind Stone. And, it's possible that she, while doing that, somehow captured some of his actual essence inside of her, and perhaps, we'll end up instilling that in this animated form that she's recreated, and eventually, kind of, you know, I don't know if you ever watched, like, I view this Westerville as almost like a holodeck from like Star Trek The Next Generation. And I don't know if you've ever seen like some of those episodes where some of those hologram characters manage to come off the holodeck. And I kind of feel like something along those lines is going to happen with Vision, where he's going to burst out into the real world outside of Westerville and somehow maintain his ability to be alive. Now maybe that ends up playing out in the Doctor Strange movie, or what, I don't know, but I feel like something along those lines is eventually going to happen. But I do foresee Vision returning to the land of living, uh, when all is said and done. NK Solid says he loves Wanda wears Magneto's red colors. Now, see, I've lost track in the comics. Now, obviously, the original take was that Wanda and Quicksilver were Magneto's kids, but I seem to recall that seeing somewhere that changed somewhere along the lines, and that in fact they aren't actually really related to Magneto. I could be wrong on that, as again I've not really read modern comics, but I don't know if that's true or not. I also wouldn't be surprised if Quicksilver somehow returns to the living after all is said and done as well. I don't know exactly how, but I would not be surprised. Now, Elizabeth Olsen, who plays, obviously Wanda, was quoted in a recent interview that said that this season's going to have their own Luke Skywalker moment. Now, that may be just to draw up interest. I don't know, but um, I could see maybe, somehow Quicksilver showing up and that being the Luke Skywalker moment. I mean, obviously, it could be another Avenger, it could be Doctor Strange, who knows? It could be Spider Man, who knows? But I feel like if it was really a Luke Skywalker moment, referring to the season 2 finale of the Mandalorian series, I feel like somebody like Quicksilver would be more fitting for that. MK Solid says they are Magneto's kids, but Marvel didn't have the X-Men license at the time of Age of Ultron. Well, I'm not talking about in the movies. I'm talking about in the comics. I feel like there was some storyline that was done that established that that it was all a lie, and Magneto really wasn't the parents of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Again, I might be wrong on that, but I feel like I read that somewhere. Yeah, and I mean the movies, they really have not. They've done very little to explain what Wanda and Quicksilver are. They call them enhanceds in the Age of Ultron movie, and they insinuated that like Hydra had experimented on them and given them their powers, but I feel like that's not really going to be the case, obviously, and now that they're allowed to actually, use the word mutants, they'll actually establish them as mutants. But they really have not given us a lot of details, of the MCU version of the origins of Wanda and Quicksilver in the MCU. Obviously, they told the story about when they were kids and the Stark missile hit their apartment and stuff, but Bean says, yeah, suddenly Wanda and Pietro were revealed to be inhuman, all because of. Okay, so you're talking about in the comics. They said they were inhumans? Really? That's lame. I'm sure they'll change. If that is the case, if they said they were inhumans, my guess is they'll, if they haven't already, will end up making them mutants again. See, I feel like if Mephisto is really the one pulling the strings, and like the one character that we've yet to see but has like been mentioned many times in the first few episodes was the one character's husband, Abner or whatever his name is. Yeah, I forget the lady's name who was like the first one that came in and greeted herself to Wanda in the first episode, and has really kind of been. There seems to be more to that character, but it's her husband that she's always referencing that we've never seen, and so I'm guessing that husband character is going to be one of the major players who've been kind of pulling Wanda's string. So I expect that to be some type of major plot point in the coming episodes. Now, whether that ends up being Mephisto or somebody else, because keep in mind, like in the comic books, you know, it was Master Pandemonium who was being manipulated by Mephisto, who, so is it Wanda and then somebody, the major bad guy or whoever is manipulating Wanda, or is it Wanda and then there's somebody pulling Wanda's strings and then there's somebody else pulling that person's strings? So, yeah, Blake, the bewitched noisy neighbor. And I think I'm pretty sure like his name is Abner or something like that, and I'm pretty sure that was actually a character's name in Bewitched. NK Solid says, anyone disappointed that Thanos wasn't in love with Lady Death in the movies? Well, we don't know if he wasn't. In fact, in a way, he was because he definitely had a thing about death. But they didn't. They haven't established Death as kind of an actual being type character. So until or if they do that, I wouldn't expect them to really be able to, even possible to be able to establish that whole love connection between him and Death. Jerry says he doesn't think Marvel would bring a demonic entity. Kids watch this. Maybe, but kids read comic books and they brought him into the comic books, so I don't know. And they don't call him the devil, they call him Mephisto. Anything exciting for dinner tonight? Jack, I don't know, but I haven't had dinner. It's 8 o'clock. I haven't had dinner yet. I think we might be having sweet and sour pork. We always end up eating late here, so. Everett says, will we get a Marvel Legends MCU abomination? Nothing I've heard of, but never say never. And in fact, if I remember correctly, Abomination is going to be appearing in the She-Hulk series, the Disney Plus She-Hulk series. So, I definitely see there an opportunity there for that. Yep, Bean says they had Surtur, the fire demon in Thor 3. Sutur, I think is how you pronounce. But yeah, he was in Thor 3, so not a whole lot of difference there. I mean, definitely, you go back 20 years, and I don't think they would bring a character like Mephisto into, main entertainment. But things have kind of loosened up a bit these days, with shows like Walking Dead and zombies and all that stuff out there. You know, I think they could definitely, if they want to, bring Mephisto into it. And Mephisto, I mean, like the character I most want to see enter the MCU is Doctor Doom, and there's so many opportunities going on that could lead to Doom. Let's not forget that Mephisto and Doom have a connection because Mephisto basically had Doom's mother's soul. The reason why Doom got into magic is because he was trying to free his mother's soul from Mephisto. So Snap says, will I be watching the new Lois and Clark Superman TV show? Yes, I will check that out. I don't know if it's going to be that good, but I do plan on checking it out. I've really lost track with the CW stuff. Last year I didn't even finish out the seasons. I was not impressed with last season's. I didn't like that they killed Arrow off. I didn't like that, Flash was starting to get boring to me. The story with what's her face being trapped in the mirror was not terribly exciting to me. And I don't know how that even ended because I didn't finish watching it. Bean says rumors Doctor Strange 3 is going to be the story where Doom and Strange challenge Mephisto. I don't know where you saw that, Bean, but I would take that with a huge grain of salt. I seriously doubt anybody out on the internet has a clue about how Doctor Strange 3 is going to go at this point, so Thanos the Mad Titan. I have not watched Doom Patrol. I've heard it's pretty good. It's just not. It's one of those things that and the Titan series. I've not watched that, but I've heard that's really good. So um, those are things that are on my list to watch. I've not gotten to them. The Mighty Big Mac. I don't know. I've heard Doom Patrol is actually pretty good, but I haven't read it. Doom Patrol is not. Those are characters that I'm not super familiar with. I never really read the comics, so I'm probably more interested in checking out the Titan series than Doom Patrol. But which based on reports, they're bringing in characters like Red Hood and Tim Drake, and Bean says he takes all rumors with a grain of salt, except for my rumors. When I give you action figure rumors, should take it with more than a grain of salt. Just kidding. Well, not really, but it is a good practice that anything that has the word rumor on it, that till it's officially confirmed, don't get super excited. The magic or the Mighty Big Mac. Thoughts on Iron Man 2? Was not a fan of Iron Man 2 in general. Better than Iron Man 3, but not nearly as good as the first Iron Man. Jack, I'm glad you want to share a bag of zigzags with me, I guess. Snap phase. Is that a new setup behind you? The only thing really new behind me is the Marvel versus Capcom video game machine that I got at Christmas, but everything else is pretty much the same. Oscar. Yes, there are plenty of Marvel Legend rumors, but none that I have shared at this point. Nothing new anyway. Um, but there's a lot of stuff that is yet to be officially revealed, and still a lot of stuff that has not been officially revealed, but has not yet surfaced online either. Spider-Man or Batman? Hmm. That's a tough one, man. I guess I'd go with Spider-Man at the end of the day. Old school Spider-Man. Blake, I have not yet ordered the Thunder Tank. If I do order the Thunder Tank, it will be. I always, with these things, wait until the last minute. MK Solid. Did I notice the censorship on the Diamond Select Westworld figure? They didn't come with any guns. I had not noticed that. And was it censorship or just saving money on accessories? And aren't there multiple versions of those figures, like Walgreens exclusive versions and then like comic book store versions? Whereas like the comic book store versions should have more accessories than the streamlined Walgreens ones, which are cheaper. I know they've done that with some of their figures, where they like at a mass retailer like Walgreens, they do like streamline. Let me make sure I didn't hit the mute button again. But um, a lot of times with those select figures, they'll do like streamlined versions that they release at places like Walgreens that are cheaper than the ones that they do at like comic book stores that generally have more accessories. I guess the idea being that kids might buy them at Walgreens and not want to pay as much or something. Thanos the Mad Titan. That would be a cool figure, wouldn't it? And Jack wants to know if Liam Neeson or Espinito. I don't know who would be a good Doom. Liam Neeson could probably pull off a pretty good Doom. I guess it would depend on what age they do of Doom. Are they going to go with a young Doom or are they going to go with an old Doom? So, I don't know. Jack, I appreciate you thinking of me as a brother, man. The Mighty Big Mac. Is it bad that you don't like the DCEU? Wouldn't say it's bad, it's a personal preference. Omega, will NECA pack their Ninja Turtle toys individually? You mean, will they release two-pack figures as single releases? I doubt it. I mean, never say never, but I certainly have heard no indication of that. Moff Gideon as Doctor Doom. So here's a question to you guys. Who do you want to see in the MCU first? The Fantastic Four or the X-Men? I really I really hope, I know he's swears he's not going to do any more Wolverine, but I really hope at some point they convince Hugh Jackman to come back as Wolverine for the MCU, even if it's only like temporarily. I would love to see that. Um, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine in the MCU. Pratt says X-Men. Garrett says Fantastic Four. Snapface Fantastic Four. Blake says Fantastic Four. Thanos says X-Men. Fantastic Four. Dumas. I'm surprised. I was expecting more of you to say X-Men. Blake says we've seen decent X-Men. That's true. We've yet to see really decent Fantastic Four on the big screen. Definitely haven't seen a decent Doctor Doom. Dumas says no more Huey's old, no more steroids. Pratt says he's a loner. Everyone else says. I know, man. I really was expecting everyone to say X Men. Carlos, Monstarts, besides them, Playmates Toys is making more kid-friendly figures based on that movie, which are actually already out at Walmart's. But other than that, I don't think anyone else is making Kong figures from the new movie. Now, like NECA Toys is doing a few has done a few King Kong figures, and Mezco did a Kong figure, but not technically for the new movie. Easy there, Jack. I only cuddle with Salome and my wife. Jonathan Higgins, actually Canadian accent. Has any incarnation of Wolverine really had a Canadian accent? The first time he appeared in the cartoons, he had an Australian accent, but I don't think he's ever really had. I mean, I know technically they consider him Canadian, but I don't really think of him as Canadian, I guess. Shin says Diamond Select Toys Rocketeer didn't come with a gun either, but had lots of other tons of accessories. I mean, they've done figures with guns, so I don't think they necessarily are anti-gun. I don't know why. I mean, like they did the John Wick figure, it had guns. They've done Punisher before, it had guns. Landon, do I know what's going on with lack of McFarlane DC waves in Canada? I have not really heard anything about Canada. I take it you're not getting any figures there, or you're just running behind. Part of it's probably because everything McFarlane seems to release first is some type of store exclusive, so that might be holding things up. I don't know. Jerry says so. Deadpool can't have Colossus as a guest in the movie. I don't know. The Deadpool movie is far enough. The next Deadpool movie is far enough away that who knows what will have happened between now and then. So it's really hard to speculate. And like, with the Deadpool movie, will they actually do something where like they start him off in the 20th Century Fox universe and have him literally step over into the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Or will he just be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? I don't know. Omni says, I'm at now. They have the Trag and Triceraton. Interested? Yeah, I still need that one. Omni's hooked me up with a bunch of turtle stuff from NECA because he always finds them out in California. So hook up as in he sells them to me at cost. But yeah, I need that set still. So if you found it, definitely hook me up. I'm still waiting for Rat King. I checked my Target this week, but they didn't have any Rat Kings Vernon and Rat King 2 packs, but it's listed on the wall on the Target website. It hasn't gone up for sale there yet, but I'm hoping it'll be readily available like the Splinter and Baxter 2 pack. Do I have any gift cards today? No, no cards today. I am gonna do. I think next week. Look for. I'm debating whether I do a live stream this weekend. Obviously, Sunday's the Super Bowl, and there should be some trailers. I'm hearing there's going to be trailers for a new Black Widow trailer, and Falcon and Winter Soldier should be getting a new trailer during the Super Bowl. But I'm definitely not going to do something on Sunday because it's the Super Bowl. So I don't know. I'm not super excited about either team in the Super Bowl, but I figure a lot of people will be watching that. So I'm not going to do a live stream on Sunday. I might try and do one Saturday. Um, Saturdays sometimes can be tough, but I might try and do another live stream on Saturday. And but next week I think we'll do a new trivia contest, and I'll give away a $100 store credit to Big Bad Toy Store. We just launched a new contest on both Marvelous News and Toy News Eye for, again, $100 store credits. But if you refuse to go over and sign up on the message boards, then look for probably, I don't know, I kind of like in Wednesdays for live streams. You got a lot more people showed up today than I was expecting with it being so impromptu. So maybe next Wednesday, if not next Wednesday, the next Sunday, not this Sunday, but next Sunday, we'll do a live stream and give away, do a trivia contest and give away a $100 store credit. Let's see, other things. So, if you're a Power Rangers fan, mark your calendars for next Friday, the 12th. There should be some Hasbro Power Ranger reveals made. I don't know exactly how. I don't know if it'll be a live stream or just pre-orders, kind of like the Maestro. But there should be some new reveals, not this Friday, but next Friday for Power Rangers. And then that following Friday, I am expecting some Marvel Legend reveals. So stay tuned for that. I don't think there's anything this Friday. So, but after that, things should pick up. After this Friday, things should pick up as far as reveals and stuff go. Let's see what else. I guess we haven't talked about the Maestro figure, so obviously I did a news video the other day and when it was revealed, but I'd be interested to know your guys' thoughts on the Maestro figure. So, in fact, chalk another one up that I got right. Another rumor report that turned out to be correct. However, the price was very confusing. I don't know what went on there. Initially, I saw information that said that figure was going to be $50, and then right before, a few days before it was officially announced, information indicated it was going to be $40, and in fact, some e-tailers had it up on Monday for $40. But then I don't know if it was last minute change or just there was a miscommunication somewhere or what, but then obviously it went down to $30. And having seen the figure, when I first heard the initial price of $50, I was expecting like a shit ton of accessories and things like that, trophy, pieces and things like that. And obviously we got a very basic Maestro figure, but of course being at $30, that's definitely not a bad thing. Or I should say, I would have still liked to seen more stuff on the figure, but at least it wasn't $40. That was a good thing. So I don't know what happened on the price there, but I know it's not. I talked about this in the news feed. I really wanted like that bandolier with like Iron Man helmet and things like that, and the broken shield and stuff. Like that old Toy Biz figure, which I know wasn't really based on how he appeared in the comics, but that's really what I was hoping for. But I don't know, man. We've gotten so many Thanos figures. However, I won't say that another Thanos isn't possible. Hey, Hector, yeah, I've got the original Toy Biz one too, and I remember when that figure came out, and again I was disappointed that it didn't have like the bandolier with the trophies and everything. And I've seen some really cool customs over the years of people who replicated that look for the for a Marvel Legend figure, and that I was just like that was really what I was hoping for. Jonathan, have I heard anything about new Star Wars Select figures for 2021? There should definitely be some more Select figures coming. I've heard some rumblings. I don't know how accurate those rumblings are, so but I feel pretty confident at least saying that there are more Select figures in the works that I believe will continue to be released as Disney Store exclusives. Prophet 924, are they ever going to release that rumored Hawkeye rider? Well, that wasn't one of my rumors, so I honestly don't know. I have not heard anything about that, so I nothing I've seen would indicate it. But that doesn't mean it's not coming. I have no intel on that. So Carlos, yes, I have heard MCU collector. Let me know that the Cobra he found the Cobra infantry in Zartan. He actually posted up some reviews of those already on his channel and sent us some images. So I'll be posting those on TNI here shortly. They should be showing up at Target here pretty soon as well because Target has it listed on their website as this Friday. Now, I don't know if anyone has seen or heard that Target's gotten them in stock yet, but I'm actually probably, I might make a run this coming Friday morning, hit both Walgreens and Target and see if those figures have shown up. I'm not too worried about it because I mean I know I can get them from someplace like Big Bad Toy Store without any issue, so I'm not going to go hunting all over the place for them. But I might just make a quick Target run to my closest Target and hit the Walgreens and see if there's anything. With MCU, he's in California, so it'll probably be a while before usually, especially like with Walgreens, usually they kind of make their way across the country. So it may be a little while before they make their way all the way here. Thanos the Mad Titan. Endgame Thor should definitely be coming. I've talked about that before. I have not heard anything about a Captain Marvel, but certainly it would seem logical. Um, Martinez, the two pack. I don't have it in front of me, but I do think I have some information on that. So I'll do some checking. I think it is going to be, if I remember correctly, I think it is going to be movie based, but wait. Hector, any rumors, no matter how far fetched, on McFarlane or movie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? I believe you mentioned some tease on the movie April figure a while back. Hector, well, it wasn't a tease. NECA has officially announced that they are doing a movie April O'Neil figure based on, oh God, no. I want to say the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle to April. Sorry, I forget off the top of my head, but April is definitely coming for their movie line. We don't know exactly how. We haven't seen the figure. Um, when they announced it, they really hadn't moved that far along on it. So, but that one is definitely coming. And I don't have anything on McFarlane other than like those Justice League Snyder cut movie figures. Those have not yet been confirmed, but again, multiple overseas retailers have started taking pre-orders for those, so I think it's a pretty safe bet they are coming. And I would expect, with the movie coming in March, that they would be at least officially announcing those pretty soon. Henry, do I collect any SH figure arts figs? I collect a few here and there. I got quite a few Marvel movie ones, like Avengers ones. I haven't bought any in a while, mainly just because of money, but I think the last one I got was the first Avengers Endgame Captain America figure, not the one they did more recently with the updated accessories, but I got the first one that they did. And I got a bunch of Iron Man figures. I got some Iron Man figures on display behind me here. Jonathan Higgins, 89 Batmobile. I don't know if you're asking me if there's an 89 Batmobile coming. Nothing I've heard of. But, maybe we'll see it in the new Flash movie and we could end up with a toy of it. I would love to see. I wish we could see a Jack Nicholson Joker. I just don't think it's possible because I don't think they can get his likeness from Jack Nicholson. I don't know why he's so difficult on that, but and I did on the NECA front for those movie figures. I believe they just put up for pre-order that they're selling directly on their store the Shredder and Splinter 2 pack, and then the Foot Soldier set. So if you were not able to get those originally, I think you can now pre-order them straight off of NECA's website. Thanos Mad Titan. I heard a rumor about Harley Quinn, Bloodsport, Polka Dot Man, Peacekeeper figures with a Build-A-Figure King Shark. I've not heard that myself, but I'll check into it, see if there's anything to it. Jerry says there's already a King Shark multiverse collecting connect. Well, that was Mattel. That was a really good figure, but that was a Mattel figure. What is most anticipated Marvel Legend coming out? Hmm. Well, since a lot of the stuff that I know about I haven't actually seen, it's hard to say for sure. For instance, like the Maestro figure ended up, being it was pretty plain. But I'm excited to see, like, as a big fan of U.S. Agent, I'm excited to see what that figure looks like, which should be Disney Plus based. And always hopeful, I don't have any intel, but I'm always hopeful that maybe they'll give us a new updated comic book version of US Agent, giving on a bigger buck. Thanks, Omni. Appreciate it. Hit me up on email. I'll send you the money. PJM, I've not heard anybody finding the Silver Surfer at Walgreens yet. Just Canada right now, as far as I know. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm, there's going to be some type of Vision and Scarlet Witch. Yeah, Vision and Scarlet Witch or Wanda coming, but I have no idea what it's going to be based on. So that'll be interesting. Obviously, since the season's not over, it could be based on something we haven't seen yet, but I don't know. Based on everything we've seen so far, I feel like the coolest action figures that they could do for WandaVision is the Halloween costumes. But I don't know. We'll have to see. I'd rather see the Halloween costumes than like, 50s or 60s black and white versions, with their Leave It to Beaver outfits and stuff. Hey YFC, yeah, I got a similar email about the Fang being delayed. It was just like a week delay or something. Yeah, it's still coming this month. But yeah, mine got delayed a little bit too. Oscar, do I know where I you can get a Havoc and Polaris 2 pack? I haven't checked recently to see who has it in stock, but I mean, that wasn't an exclusive, so I don't, yeah, that wasn't an exclusive, so I would just look anywhere that sells Marvel Legends, including, I mean, it's at one point GameStop had them, but I don't know if they still do. Blake, have I seen the leaked Love and Thunder set photos of Chris Hemsworth dressed similar to Thunderstrike? I have seen those images, but I don't see Thunderstrike in those images other than how the sleeves are cut on his arm. That's the only real similarity to Thunderstrike I see. He looks like, he looks like somebody out from an 80s rock band. So I think some people calling that Thunderstrike is a bit of a stretch. But yes, I have seen those images. And I have no idea what's going on there, but it looks like he lost weight. I guess he worked off those extra pounds he had in Avengers. Jerry, will I get the Mezco Lockjaw? Well, the Black Bolt Lockjaw because you got to buy it as a 2 pack. But yeah, that is one I probably will end up picking up just because I think the Lockjaw will go good with Marvel Legends, and who knows when or if we'll get a Marvel Legend Lockjaw. If you have problems with the tight elbow joints, probably just take a hair dryer to it, and that'll probably loosen it up. But I don't know. I'll let you know when mine arrives. That's the only retro item that I've gotten, and that's because I wanted the pilot, because that was actually a new figure. I don't actually like that Fang that much. I like the original Fang, which was a little sleeker looking, but I definitely wanted the pilot. Jonathan says, "Do I think Super 7 will release the Ultimate Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Only want Raphael, but scalper prices are absurd." You mean re-release? I believe they've mentioned in interviews that they will. So yes, I do think I would not resort to scalper prices. I think you'll get more opportunities at them in some shape or form. Carlos, am I excited for Super 7 Silverhawks? Well, I've talked about this before, but I personally was never much into Silverhawks. It was not a show or a property that as a kid I was really into. So I'm interested to see what they do with it, but I probably won't get any just because, again, it was not something I was super into. But I know there are people who are, so I'm glad that they're doing them. And they'll probably go good with Thundercats, but for me personally, it's not a line that I'm super excited about just because it was not a line that I ever was really into as a kid. Are they making Married with Children toys? I've not heard anything for that, but I'm sure if they haven't already, Funko will do some pop vinyls, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some reaction figures at some point. Yes, MK Solid, they will probably cost around $55. Martin, I like all the G.I. Joe classified toys so far. PGM says he's bummed that Silverhawks won't be vac metal. Yeah, it's difficult to do that, but you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they did some type of one-off exclusive, which would probably have maybe limited articulation or something. But I could definitely see, they've done some of these kind of like glow in the dark things and stuff as one-off type deals. So I wouldn't be super surprised if they tried to do something like that down the road. Hey, Prof. Yeah, I always keep the sound muted on the games unless I'm actually playing them. Kyle, should I buy the Marvel Legends Endgame Power and Glory Worthy Cap for $50 on eBay? Is that a good figure, or should I wait for a possible re-release? Are you are you talking about the Walmart exclusive one with the chainmail, the sculpted chainmail on the chest? That is a good figure. I don't know if I'd say if I'd buy pay $50 for it, but it is a good figure. I haven't heard anything about another Endgame cap coming anytime soon, but it's always possible Hasbro could find a way to re-release it. So you'll have to make that call on whether you want to pay that much. But if that's the one you're talking about, I do think it is a good figure. Probably the best movie figure of Cap that they've done to date. All right, guys, I think we're gonna call it a wraps today. I smell dinner cooking, so I do want to appreciate y'all for jumping in here. Again, I know it was impromptu and it was a rough start, but I'm glad you guys stuck around and we were able to talk about stuff. Always enjoy that. And probably we'll do a news video on Friday. And then, like I said, I might try and do a live stream on Saturday. If not, then definitely next week sometime we'll do one. And like I said, we'll do a trivia contest and give away $100 store credit to Big Bad Toy Store. But if you don't want to wait for that, remember there is a contest currently going on both Marvelous News and TNI for $100 store credits. Links to both of those contest details are in the video description below. As always, guys, stay safe out there. And until next time, catch you later. Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News Message Boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.